That's right. We are back. We are now back. What's up, everybody? WFO wanted to get on board and get everybody fired up for a little WFO radio, NHRA Nitro. I'm Joe Castello, and we're diving right into it. First, though, I got to tell you who it's all brought to you by.
In racing, safety comes first, and today safety is more important than ever. Introducing Sanacor by Silverthorne Industries, the safe and powerful way to stay protected. Sanacor offers hand sanitizer in bottles or convenient single-use packs. Safe, powerful, Sanacor.
Sanacor, the folks at Sanacor USA doing a great job on board. Tony Shortall and that squad over there doing some great things. And if you need hand sanitizer, jump on board. Our other sponsors talking about Total Seal Piston Rings, the leader in ring seal technology, talking about samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists, of course, talking about Marvin Rodak and Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com and Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. We'll tell you a little bit more about them later on in the show while we're getting ready for people to get on board. We're letting the audience populate a little bit. NHRA's Alan Reinhart scheduled to join us. That may or may not happen. For those of you that listen to our Ignition show, which comes out on Tuesday morning, it's kind of a late Monday night production, right? And it's talk radio for the most part. And I delved into a little bit of the blast from the past, if you will, since there was no NASCAR race to speak of. And in fact, it is still raining in the Fort Worth area. So we're waiting for that to get underway. Giovanni in Miami didn't show up. The co-host did not show up. Well, it's happening to me 2 days in a row now, but I am cool with it. I've got you, I've got the audience, and of course the results from the Mopar Express Lane Spring Nationals presented by Pennzoil. Tony Schumacher's 85th career win. He and last week's guest, Steve Torrence, squared up in a final round for the ages. We will discuss that, of course. Tommy Johnson Jr., directly reinserts his name into the fray for the championship, 1.5 points for the final race. Vegas, baby, this weekend. We're going to get into that. One that I'm super proud of. I have been really going over the top to suggest that Aaron Stanfield was going to get a win sooner rather than later this year. In fact, not that it's a thick limb you're going out on when you're talking about an elite motorsports car and a great young prodigy level driver like Aaron, but he did it. It happened. There's no guarantee it's going to happen until it happens, and then it happened. And now it's happened, and it's over. He's a winner on the tour. But if there's anything wrong with the sport of drag racing, and there's things wrong with everything, but a kid like Aaron Stanfield should be drafted number one. That's the difference in our sport. Like, you can't have a talent like that floating around. You know exactly that he can drive, he can tune, he can do it all. He's a savant. I used the reference to Mozart on the Ignition show because he's in many ways a child prodigy. His family has been doing it for a long time. His dad, four-time world champion. And ever since Aaron has gotten into these cars, he's been successful. And so how long was it going to take him to win a pro stock race? I don't know how many races he started. Certainly feels less than 15. And he goes out and gets a win and wins the Factory Stock Showdown Championship at samtech.edu. Great weekend. And Eddie Krawick, scheduled to have Eddie and Aaron and Tommy Johnson all on the show this week. Eddie Krawick, you may recall, it could be contentious. I don't know. You know, he confronted me at Indianapolis. He confronted me, Lucas Oil Raceway. Heard you were talking about me. And I was like, Eddie, I did suggest that maybe you had put on, you're enjoying meals. You're enjoying the meals a lot, Eddie. Who doesn't enjoy a meal every now and again, every day? And we laughed, and Eddie has won again. So Eddie's going to be back on the show. I got some comments, people in the comments section. Let's see what everybody's got to say. Like Derek says, hey, let's see. Oh no, Joe is on, says Steve. That's all right, Steve. I'll get you through. Top Fuel 173 says, hi, I'm driving a desk this week. Dispatching. Pray for me, Derek, who you can tell from his avatar, he works for FedEx. He's a FedEx guy. Why no FedEx sponsored car in the National Hot Rod Association there, Derek? Make it happen, brother. Edwin, what's going on, Joe? You know I'm always here watching Go Sarge. I know you are. You're always watching Go Sarge. I know you are. Phil says, what's up? Scott, Gio ever wake up? Yeah, you may recall that last night when my co-host didn't show up, it was a mysterious thing, and he was asleep. Let's find out about today's co-host. What was the situation with today's co-host? As we've got him, NHRA's Alan Reinhart. What's up, Alan? How are you?
Hey, Joe, I'm good. Can you hear me okay?
I hear you great. You
Okay.
you look great. You sound great. How's it going?
It's going okay. I actually was out looking at it and I was headed back to the shop and went, oh crap, I'm late. So I swung by the house and I'm on a different computer and a different hookup and a different everything. So if you can hear me okay, then we're good. Sorry, I apologize for my tardiness.
No, it's no problem. I did totally botch the start of the show with my graphics and everything. I was trying to figure something out, and I clicked a button, and now I'm on, and I'm like, uh-oh. But the show must go on. That's it. If you have a little problem, you just keep on going. For all you kids out there, that's the deal. And you know what? A metaphor for our NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Series season. I was having a little fun with the audience. Yes, you got your new hat. You see the back of that hat, Alan. What kind is it? It's mesh? Mesh?
It's mesh, yeah. It's just mesh.
It's mesh. I like you say it's just mesh. So we're on the same page with that. In 2021, everything's going to get better. That's the way I look at it.
I sure hope so. Yeah, I think it's going to be okay. Obviously it was a pretty quick transition when we made this whole change. And I don't mind mesh hats except for the fact that it doesn't keep my noggin from getting sunburned when I'm outside. So that's why I like full hats.
I agree. It's just, to me, it's a little more formal. I know a ball cap or a cap doesn't seem formal at all, but in the cap universe, I feel that full cap is slightly more formal than mesh cap.
Maybe maybe. I don't.
Who knows?
I'm more concerned about me, so I don't really care what anybody else thinks. But
know.
When you don't have a natural noggin covering.
Yes.
Then the mesh cap does not keep you from ending up being really red at the end of the day.
So true. All right. So we want to talk about Houston. I want to talk about Tony Schumacher's 85th career win. Ties Bob Glidden. That was a big thing back in the day. Tying Bob Glidden, 85 wins. It sticks out in my mind. But since the last time we spoke, the last time we were on the air, there was a lot of news breaking regarding Hop Singh. And we did not get to speak about it on the air in a way that I want to, and I know you probably want to, and we should. For this audience, it's shocking, but there are people who only listen to Alan Reinhart on WFO radio, as opposed to the Star Drivers and our Steve Torrance Facebook page takeover that happened last week. That was milestone. They don't care about any of that. They only care about Alan Reinhart. I know, I heard you talking about Hop for many, many years prior to me meeting and becoming friends with Eric. And now we are both, I'm waking up every day, and this is the first thing that is entering my mind. I knew him for several years. You knew him for many more than that. It's got to be devastating. And I just want to kind of open it up to you and get your thoughts and observations, especially having gone through being at the racetrack and all the memorials that you guys did. What was it all like? What do you think?
It was difficult. And, what we did at the racetrack, the NHRA on Fox people put together a tribute video, which was really nice, really touching and really moving. And what Cruz Pedregon had asked as a team is they wanted us to Friday afternoon do whatever we wanted to do. And then they wanted to focus on racing the rest of the weekend. Cruz basically said, look, I don't want every time my car comes to the starting line, it to be another memorial. And I don't think Eric would have wanted that either. We gave him, I believe, due respect. The video is, like I said, very touching. If you knew him, you'd watch the video and it would tug at your heartstrings a little bit. And then, we kind of got back to the business of racing. But, I first met him. I don't even remember who he was working for. It was before he was working for John Force, but he was the kind of guy when you walk through the pits, big smile, very enthusiastic laugh. As I posted on Twitter, he loved a good joke or a bad one. He didn't, but he was just a really enthusiastic, outgoing guy. And he was the kind of guy that was always organizing something wacky to do at the racetrack after the races. Brian and I were chit-chatting this past weekend, and I told him about one of the things that I just remember. And Sunday night after a race, and fill in the name of your favorite city here, the winter circle is over with. Everybody's had a cocktail or two. And Eric has got a group of about 20 or 30 people together at the back of the trailer with a digital scale. And everybody that walked by, it was, okay, how much does he weigh? I mean, right now, everything he's got, shoes, pockets full, and everybody'd throw in $20 and everybody'd pick a number and somebody'd stand on the scale and somebody would win $300 and then somebody else would walk by and like, what about him? Get him over here. And that was just the kind of guy Eric was. He always found a way to have some fun, to have a good time. A couple of people asked me where he got the nickname Hop Sing. If you don't know, Google Hop Sing Bonanza. Just Google it, pull up a picture, and you'll go, holy crap, that's Eric. And that's where he got the nickname. I mean, he absolutely looked like Hop Sing. He was also known as Asian Larry in some circles out there in the pits. But he was a really knowledgeable guy, a really intelligent guy. See, I don't know how many people even know this. Did you know that Eric was a nurse?
Yes, a radiologist.
Yeah. He did so much show up and work on the race car. Part of our youth and education services program many times, where he would come out and speak to the high school students or the young college students about career opportunities and choices. And listening to him tell the story about hey, I went to college I studied I decided I was going to be a nurse. I was going to make my living in the field. He said, then I got hooked up in touch with a couple of drag racers and went, this is something I really want to do. And so, you can change your mind. And that's one of the things that youth and education services, Bob Task always talks about. Have 2 or 3 things that you're looking at, because one of them might not work out. You don't want to be stuck there. He also, sorry, my stuff's falling over here. He also did nitro school with me a number of times. And again, very knowledgeable and very, very good about taking some of the high-tech stuff that they do on the race cars and making it understandable for the average fan. And, wasn't afraid to take questions, wasn't afraid to talk to fans. He was just a good guy. As you lose a crew chief, a mind, he was just a good guy. And I think that's what's got so many people, in particular, just, I can't believe he's gone. And not knowing he was laying in the street and got run over by a car. There's got to be more to the story. And I don't know that we'll ever know. But I know that, it's just going to suck that he's never going to be out there again.
Well, exactly. Thank you for saying that. In a world of conspiracy theories about literally everything these days, and nobody accepts any information, regardless of what it is. The whole Occam's razor thing, the simplest explanation is the truth. I'm just having trouble wrapping my mind around this, just because I know he's been in some situations where he's been in every situation with life on the road, being a part of the NHRA, been out there, had to get his way back to a hotel room in the past. He's dealt with every situation and come through them all. This one, a walk back to the hotel, I don't know, but I'm eager to just sit back and let the investigations and whatever happened. Obviously, his family comes first, the race team, crews, what they did. Excellent work. I'm having trouble. I knew him differently. I didn't know him as the crew guy first, kind of. I knew him as a guy who reached out to me and brought me into a fun party situation. And there's a whole bunch of crew guys out there, and I don't know them all yet. I want to. It just takes time. It's really hard to you try to get to know 1 or 2 people every single weekend. Well, at the end of the season, that's only 48 people that you get to know, and there's so many more than that.
Right.
But in this case, he reached out to me and said, come do this with us. And I was like, yeah, yes, I will. And so that was the nature of our relationship, which is a great relationship to have. And just so much fun. A leader of men. When he was hired to do the Bob Tasca team, like to reorganize that team, it was kind of cool because he pulled me aside and this is what was part of the championship Napa team. And like, this is an opportunity that I've got, and I'm thinking about doing it, and I want to do it. And he like laid it out for me, like it matters, like what I think matters. I was like, whatever, do it. Yes. But my counsel was absolutely, you have to do this. And the hiring and the selecting of the guys and the people offering to be a part of it, a lot of it was him, and they're still doing so well over there. He was on WFO just a couple of months ago, part of this. like, hey, we're doing these live streams. You want to be on? Yes, he came on. And to think that he's not around, it's really hard to wrap my mind around it. That's as simple as that. And I know that's what death is, but larger than life personality, good person, hard worker, successful, champion, father, husband, good energy, positive person, and now no longer with us and part of our lives. And it's just, I mean, that's hard. It's just hard to deal with.
I agree 100%. And, I hope, what the investigation can come up with something. I mean, I just, I knew Eric a long time. I've never known him, there've been, the whole internet speculation thing, right? Well, it must have been this, it must have been this, and, I've never known him to get out of control to the point that he couldn't get home. And that just wasn't him. So that didn't happen. Something else, whatever it was, if it was a tragic accident, okay, I can accept that. But, was laying in the street and got run over. I can't accept that. There's got to be more to the story than that.
There's got to be more to the story. And, without, instigating people to go crazy, I'm really hoping that there is a thorough investigation, things that I don't know, and I would love to ask. I'm pretty good at asking some questions and interrogating, as my friends know. Where were you? Who was there? Who else was there that wasn't in your group? Did anything happen? Where did he go? What time did he go? Why did he go alone? All of these things are going through my mind. It's really none of my business per se, but I'm with you. This guy's extended family now, and I can't not wonder. And there is no way possible I know this, just like you said, there's no way possible he left the restaurant and said, oh man, I think I'd like to lie down right where I am. And it happened to be in the street. Like, that is not what happened. So we'll just see, and we'll let the professionals do their jobs, and we'll be sad again. Tough year for our little extended NHRA family. This is almost a test. We spoke with Steve Torrance about it. Steve was, he showed wisdom that there are good things happening this year, but I can't help but think Eric, Hop, I texted with Tobler, like all of the guys that have got to be just totally gutted to their core because of this. And then, we go racing and they got to go out and perform, which we are going to talk about it, because that's most importantly, that's what Eric would want. Hey, should we go racing? Yes. Should we talk about racing and who won? Yes.
I agree. I agree 100%. I just think that it's weird. It'll be a long time. And this has happened a few times over the years, if you're in this business long enough, or if you're in any business long enough, you lose people just from whatever circumstance it may be. And it takes a while. You walk by the trailer and go, hey, I'm going to stop in, and oh yeah, I can't do that anymore. And it's just a period of adjustment. I don't know how else to put it. It's just going to be a period of adjustment. And we will get through it one step at a time.
Yeah. And you've been through it many times, and we do the show now. We're going on, back to 2006. It's 2020, so it's been a long time. But hanging in bars after the races, winding down, talking about things. And there have been a lot of conversations that are more than, automatic horsepower. Yeah. A lot of discussions. And this is one of them. When you're blessed to have a lot of friends, you're going to experience more tragic moments. It's just math. And when you're around a high performance extreme motorsport, you've been through it many times, sometimes. And I remember vividly you telling me, like, I forget exactly what it was, but somebody that you knew I was friends with had an incident and they were okay. And you said, Joe, someday if you keep doing this long enough, they're not going to be okay. And you have to be ready for that. And that just struck me to the core, and I keep it with me. And when it is appropriate, I pass along that advice as best as I can. But it's a blessing that you have interactions with so many people, that there's mutual respect and mutual love and passion for a thing, in our case, cars and drag racing. And we are going to go through moments like this. And it's just, it's very tough. I really wish I could have been there, but I was there thanks to NHRA.TV. And, you guys all handled yourself very well. And the final round with Caps, I don't ever root. We're going to have Tommy Johnson on the show this week, but I have to think that even though Eric had moved on from that team, he won his championship with Napa and Ron Capps and Ron Tobler. I had to think that they, all of DSR still consider Eric family, and they were happy to both make the final round. And boy, the Napa guys really wanted it.
They did. And, everybody did, especially when you're coming down to where we're at now, getting back to the business of racing with points on the line, with the championship that's going to be decided this coming weekend. Every one of those little points is important. And, having Jack, number 2 in points, go out round number 1 at the hands of Ron Capps, and then having Hagen go out earlier in the day left the door open for both of those teams to make some grounds. And they both, were desperately at it. There were a couple of guys I saw on the internet that, couldn't believe that either Tommy or Tony didn't make some kind of, make some remark, something about Eric in their winning interviews. And I'm not defending them in any way. I don't think they need defense. Eric never worked with Tommy Johnson, to my knowledge. Eric never worked with, and when you look at Don Schumacher, I mean, you're talking about an organization that's got 150 or 60 employees. Eric was part of the Napa team, and I guarantee you, had on one, it would have come up. But I don't believe that Eric ever worked with Tommy's team or with Tony. So, it's your typical big corporation. Did you know the guy? Yes. Was he necessarily a dear friend of yours? I don't know. And so I don't hold that against any of those guys. I think in that moment, you're celebrating with your team, with your guys. And I think that, that's probably the priority because of the situation in the past. Had Eric been a member of Tommy's team for 4 or 5 years, like he was with Ron Capps, there's no question it would have been mentioned. But, that just wasn't the case. And so Tommy was focused on celebrating with his guys, as I think he should be.
And as I said, when we started talking about, conspiracy theories and all, why do we need to be critical of anyone right now? Like right now, like the emotion that's coming to the front of mind is like how to be critical with how someone has handled the situation. Yeah, maybe right. Like, yeah. Oh, he didn't handle the situation exactly right. Well, how do you know that? And I'm just making up scenarios here, that they weren't good friends and they didn't know that they were going to break down in an emotion if they went there. So they didn't go there. Like, we just don't know. And the person that's on the other side of a keyboard looking for the moment to be critical of someone, I'm just kind of over it. I know it's not going to stop. In fact, it's only going to increase always and forever, but now's not the time.
Well, I think my whole thought process about this is that because now everybody has instant access, everybody. It used to be if I said something and somebody took it wrong or somebody was offended or somebody, I don't know, you can write me a letter if you want, you can, but by the time you got around to it, and now it's just a matter of, I'm going to tell this guy how much I hate him. And we also live in a world that if I say, hey, Joe, I love cupcakes. I mean, I love cupcakes. And somebody's going to go, frickin' Reinhart doesn't like cookies. I don't know why he doesn't like cookies. That son of a bitch. And it's like, I didn't say anything about that.
Yeah.
And it's a conversation that I've had with people 1,000 times too about, the typical thing that comes up around here, Pro Mod's great because Pro Stock sucks.
Right.
Why do you have to put something down why can't you just tell me you love Pro Mod? I mean, I like them both. And nobody's a bigger Pro Stock fan than me. I'm not putting Pro Stock down. Don't go to your keyboards and start piling on. But, I really like NBA basketball. Or college basketball. I really like college basketball. I grew up in a college town. I follow college teams. I really like college teams. I don't follow NBA nearly as close.
Sure.
But I can tell you, I love college basketball. I can tell you why I love college basketball. I can tell you what's going on in college basketball. And that's the end of the sentence. I don't have to tell you that something else isn't as good or something else is, and a conversation that I've had, again, 100 times. I grew up in Southern Arizona. This isn't exactly breaking news. I live in a desert. We don't have a lot of ice.
Right.
I didn't play hockey when I was a kid.
He's not a hockey guy.
I'm not a hockey guy. But you're never going to hear me say that hockey's terrible or hockey's bad or hockey sucks. Hockey's just not my thing. And if you love hockey and you're passionate about hockey, that's wonderful. I feel for you. I understand. I know what it's like to be passionate about something, and same thing, the number of people that say, well, I love NASCAR because I don't like drag racing. What? So what?
Yeah.
I mean, why can't you just love NASCAR? I'm a huge NASCAR guy. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes right now. I mean, they're still sitting in Texas trying to race from last Sunday and got to go to Martinsville next week. But why can't you just, or most people, why can't people say, I really like this without feeling the need to put something else down like it drives their point home? I really like cupcakes. That doesn't mean I hate cookies.
End of story. And I think it's one of the mysteries of our time, and we're kind of hopefully evolving beyond it. People are kind of realizing. I went through this experience the other day, Yankees baseball, super excited about the Yankees. And on my Facebook page, right, I thought that was positive. Oh, I can't stand Major League Sports because of what they're doing. It's like, whoa, man. Hey, then now now is not the time for that. You don't have to tell me that just because I like something. You don't have to inform me that you hate it, but people are realizing it. But hey, let's talk about something we both like. And that beer. Let's talk
about beer.
Yeah, but you're a big macro brew guy, honestly. I'm started to explore a lot of different, Brian Loans with his IPAs or anything, but I'll go off the beaten path. You're still a bud man.
Yeah, for the most part. And I came home to a full beer cooler, which was nice because I had my landlord. I actually did my shop landlord. I did a couple favors for him, and he paid me back in beer. So yeah, all is well on the Reinhart front. I have a cooler full of properly chilled Budweiser, just waiting for me to get there.
I enjoy the Bud Select. I'll go there. Like if it's available, I'll drink Bud. If the Bud Select is available, I'll go there. Simply, it's okay. Listen, let's talk drag racing now. Let's get into. I think that this was a really good and healthy conversation. It had to be done. We carry these things around. But now let's talk about Tommy Johnson injecting himself back into the championship. Like it was unlikely. He needed something big. He got something big. It happened. Let's watch the Fox Sports broadcast. Brian Loans, Tony Pedregon on the.
They are 3-2 career in final rounds with Caps holding a one-race margin over Tommy Johnson Jr. in finals. Caps is out first, and you have got to be kidding me. It's Tommy Johnson Jr. 392.9, 321 miles an hour, 34 ten-thousandths of a second, and he keeps popping up like Alfred E. Newman. What, me worry? We got a race left, baby. He thinks he can do this, and I think he can do it.
3 thousandths of a second, or 34 ten-thousandths, and Alfred E. Newman gets a mention from Brian Loans, which is always good. Again, I watch that and I think, man, 3,000 Caps off first, but Tommy, he is fighting for this championship. It's as if almost he has never won one and wants it so bad.
And I think that's a big part of it. That's also going to be a theme, by the way, just so you know. I think every single pro racer that got off the starting line first in the final lost. Tommy does want it. And, with an uncertain future, that we've talked about it ad nauseum over the course of the year since the announcement came out that the program for the giving cars is going to end this year. Doug Chandler is no longer going to fund those two cars, and Tommy and Jack both are, kind of wondering what their future holds. So, you need to come and get it now. And Tommy moved himself into second place in the points, albeit by 1 point, but he's back in the championship conversation. And, they needed to win. They had to win. But like Tommy said afterwards, what they need to do now is break the pattern, because what they've done earlier in the year is win one race and suck the next. And they can't do that. There's one race left. It's as simple as that. And it's not quite winner take all, but they are close enough that, they don't need a whole lot of help. They are pretty close to being in control of their own destiny, but they've got to go out and perform. If it doesn't matter if you're down by 1 round or if you're down by 10 rounds. If you lose first round, you're done. So they need to go out and perform, and then just see what happens. I think it'll be very interesting to see how the ladder lays out when it's all said and done. And that was another big point of contention this past weekend. And I asked Jack about it point blank. I mean, for those who may not follow closely, in the final qualifying session, Ron Capps was on the bump. They in 2 qualifying runs, they never got down a racetrack. They were the number 16 car. So we know at that point, whoever qualifies number 1 is going to have to race Ron Capps. Now, I don't care how bad Ron Capps sucks in qualifying. Nobody's going, I want to race Ron Capps round 1. Boy, that'll be a pushover. And Matt Hagan was the number 1 qualifier at that time. As we move on through the last session, when Jack Beckman comes up, he runs 388 and goes to the number 1 spot. And I, at the time, questioned the wisdom of that. It's like, does that say Jeff Alt?
Yes, it does.
My buddy Jeff Alt in Tucson?
Nope. Yes, your buddy. He's been watching WFO for like the past month or so. And
he needs to come by. I have something for him at my shop. I keep telling him, come by, I have something for you. He'll never stop by.
Well, he'll go by now. Go by the shop. Come on now.
I question the wisdom. I mean, with Matt Hagan being number one in the points, I'd let him run Ron Capps around one. And if there was anything I could do about it, I'd go, and instead, Jack goes to the top. Now, he picked up 3 points, which he said at the time were big, and I don't disagree with that because Matt had picked up 3 the previous round, and so Jack figured he got the 3 back. But you just got yourself a date with another DSR car in round number 1 that you could have avoided. And if it's me, I understand that from Jack's standpoint and from his crew standpoint and, from John and from there, we ain't scared of nobody. We're going to have to race everybody. But given the choice, I would rather not. I would rather watch Ron Capps race Matt Hagan, knowing one of my guys is going to be out of here. There's one that I don't have to worry about, than doing it myself. And, as it turned out, Ron obviously beat Jack since he was in the final. And that, put Jack in a tougher position going into Vegas than he may have been otherwise. Who knows? Woulda, shoulda, coulda. But, we in the alcohol dragster ranks with Megan Meyer coming in, making a qualifying run and then leaving because she was going to take the points just for showing up and making a qualifying run. And then she left to get married, right? Getting married is more important than drag racing. Come on, Megan. Yeah. But anyway, during the final qualifying session, I'm looking at the ladder, and you've been around long enough. You know me. I'm always looking at potential. This is where we stand. This is what might happen. Dwayne Shields comes up, one of the last cars to run down the racetrack. And I said, he's number 3 right now. If he improves, he's going to race somebody tomorrow. If he stays number 3, he'll have a bye run because he's lined up against Megan, who we all know has gone home. So he makes an 800-foot time run, clicks the thing off, and comes back up and goes, okay, I'll take my first round bye. And, I think sometimes you've got to play those strategies. But, Jack's team did what they felt was the right thing to do. It didn't work out. If they go out there and they beat Ron first round, well, then they look like geniuses. And you just never know. You can't race scared. I'm a big believer in that. But I also know, had it been me, I might have been perfectly happy to watch Ron Capps and Matt Hagan race first round and just let them be.
Yes, I agree. I tend to agree that there's I remember in the NFL world, to talk about sports that we hate, Don Shula once took a safety on himself. They snapped the ball, ran the other way, and took a safety to run out the clock because they couldn't be beaten by 2 points. They needed the other team needed the time. It's like there's another layer. And I'm not saying that John and Guido and John aren't thinking about these things. Sometimes it's a tough call to decide what to do. But in that case, going up against the Napa team, round 1, with all the emotion and potential magic out there, I'm sure that's something they're going to think about. But then again, they could go out and win this race out there in Vegas, and they could win the championship regardless. Who knows? Everybody weighing in. Listen, this is going to be one of those shows. Okay, I botched the start. You were late. Everything's crazy. No format.
Whoa.
What?
Didn't we just have this conversation?
Well, it doesn't matter.
You just say, I botched the start and leave it alone? Then you got to pass some of the blame on to somebody else?
It's equal distribution. Steve says he likes Corona with no lime. And Randy says he likes Land Shark. So we got people talking beer now, which is never a bad thing. And I just wanted to kind of prime the pump, Alan. You're good. You're good. But then some people are suggesting that they're headed your way. Like Brian Brewster says he's on his way to Tucson to share some of your beer. So
you better hurry. I'm leaving for Vegas pretty soon.
Be aware.
Not today, but hey, come by on Christmas. We have an open house on Christmas Day. Everybody's welcome. I've met a few WFO fans over the years that have, either reached out to me via Twitter or, said, hey, I'd really like to come by. And it's like, okay, guys, here's the address. Here's the deal. Christmas Day, open house, little scotch tasting. I'm the rest area. I'm not the destination. So if somebody wants to come by and see my shop, Christmas Day is the time to do it. And don't worry, the beer chiller will be stocked and it will be chilled.
I love that. I love the scotch tasting. All right, let's move over to Top Fuel, where we had what I deemed to be just exactly what the doctor ordered as far as final round goes. Tony Schumacher, who so many fans, legions of fans, kind of left in the lurch with the sponsorship thing and then the COVID thing. And finally, Tony is able to get out there and people are wondering, Tony Schumacher, what's he going to be able to do? Is he going to be able to get back into the winner's circle? Well, let's watch the final round. Fox Sports' Brian Loans and Tony.
Mike Green, the crew chief, steps away. 2 Top Fuel Titans to close out the weekend in Houston, Texas, and set us up for a finals in Las Vegas. Torrance is out first. They get to the finish line. Tony Schumacher! Wow, what an appropriate way to end this one. 28 10,000ths at the stripe, and they absolutely threw the hammers at it. Low ET in the meet, 366.9, an instant classic final round, outrunning of 368.7 for Steve.
I got the hair standing up on my arms right now. This is an amazing final round.
And another Wally is in the hands of the
winningest Top Fuel driver in history, Tony Schumacher, and he talks about hugging the Wallies, and there was 3,000 in funny car. It was 2,000 in Top Fuel. Tony goes through Billy and Steve, and to me, that is a setup for what might happen in 2021 if we can get Tony out there full time, like heavyweights just hammering on each other. Steve left first. Tony drove around. Tony Schumacher back in the winner's circle.
Is there any way you could put up the last shot of the starting line, the celebration on the starting line there just before you cut away?
I can try. Let's see. I think we'll have to go through the whole thing. But you're talking about Mama Kay and Billy like running over there to give them cred?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. Mama Kay and Billy being right there, congratulating Mike Green, congratulating the team on a job well done. And I just think that goes to, the respect that the teams have out there for the people that do this at this level. Come on. Hey, Steve, you left first. You ran 368 at 330 miles an hour. Oh, that was cute. Get out of the way. We're going to go talk to the guy who won. I mean, are you serious? Yeah. And then people are talking about, well, we need to slow the cars down and we need to change this. Really? You didn't like that? I mean, if, like I put on Twitter, if you didn't like the final rounds from Top Fuel to factory stock, if yesterday or Sunday, and I've said this a million times, and I firmly believe it. If yesterday was the first time that you came out in person and watched an NHRA Camping World Championship event and you left going, it was okay, don't come back, because the next one's not going to be any better. That was just an amazing race. And I honestly believe that if there was anybody that was out there for the first time, that was their first NHRA experience, and I know for a fact there was at least one couple that was, because I ran into them at Hooters on Saturday night. I mean, literally, they're like, hey, are you? And yeah, first time we've been watching on TV, and they reached out to me via my announcer email on Sunday and went, oh, my God, that was amazing. We're already making plans to go to 3 races next year. They've been watching it on TV for a while, and I think they have a neighbor that's involved, at some small level, and decided, okay, we've been hearing about it. Let's go see. And that was their first personal experience, and they're coming back. And I think that that's my ultimate scale for judging races. If today was the first day you saw it, would you want to come back? And if there was anybody there yesterday that says no, or on Sunday that says no, then okay. Because, like I said, the next one ain't going to be any better than that. When you look at 0.03 of a second in the funny car final, 0.02 of a second stripe in the Top Fuel final, side by side, 330 mile an hour runs for the trophy. Tony gets back in the winner's circle, beating both Capco cars. I mean, what do you want? If that wasn't what you're coming to see, then tell me what you want, because I don't get it.
Well, and there it is. And the biggest personalities that we have in the class at the time, you've got the winningest driver of all time in Top Fuel, Tony Schumacher, who's got this great backstory. His ride kind of lost out from under him, still at the top of his game. Got Mike Green. That's a great story. Like, Mike, this guy is good. I remember talking to him in Gainesville after they had that whole blower, pulley, idler problem, and he was disgusted, man. He was angry. And I talked to him the next day or an hour or so later, and he's like, we just don't have everything right yet. We just don't have it right. And it's not anybody's fault. They, robbing parts here and there to put together things. It's just different deal going out there the way they were. Well, look at where they are now. 366.9, 330. Tony Schumacher beats Billy, beats Steve. Billy beats Leah. Steve probably...
Billy beats Leah on an identical elapsed time race.
Yes.
They both ran, I believe it was 3.701 or but they both ran identical elapsed times. Billy wins it by 100. Obviously helping his kid, trying to stretch out for the championship, and certainly helping himself as well. But it was that kind of racing all day long. It wasn't like, okay, the final was great, but up until then it was, who really cares what's going on here? It was that kind of racing all day long. So anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, but just looking at the matchups, like Langdon has had his chances at Torrance. And
Yes.
Torrance has gone through, like, you have this, maybe we could call it a blocker car for a reason. It's not really a blocker car. Sean's trying to win races, but to help the team, he's got to take out Steve. He gets a couple of opportunities. Steve, no, does it. Antron takes down Doug, and Doug missed the tree. I feel bad for Doug Coletta, whatever it was that caused it. But Antron's 034, 371. It doesn't really matter whether he missed the tree or not. It's just been such good racing. And now Steve Torrance has got a 101-point lead. He looked visibly bothered by losing. I understand. Mama Kay and Billy were happy on the starting line. Like, man, look at this team. It's amazing. We're loving every minute of it. Those 20 points kind of made a difference with 1.5 points going into Vegas for Steve, whether it be like mostly over or still slightly not over.
Well, Steve, and I'm just, believe me, don't take this as, the official report. If Steve gets those extra 20, then in essence, he wins the championship by qualifying. Now, in essence, he has to win the first round. And, there might be 2 points one way or another, but that's basically what it did. It made him win one more round. It made him win one round in Vegas. I still think if I'm the engraver, STEV, because that's the way it's going to come down. But I think, Mike Green and Tony and that team did an outstanding job. I think that I don't know. I think I feel a little vindicated. I think you and I both, when they said Tony's coming back to run a couple races at Indy, and then when they said Tony's coming back to run the season, I think you and I both were on the same page. He should finish in the top 10 and will win a race before the end of the year. And at this point, it definitely looks like he's going to do that. I thought the two things in my mind that were interesting, and they didn't show on that clip, but one was lane swap. I don't know that would have made any difference, but Steve Torrance had lane choice all day long. He'd been in the right lane all day long. They pulled up in the right final, and then Mike Green went, Richard Hogan went, no, I want to try the other lane. Now they went 368. They went right down the lane, but part of me has to wonder, would that have made a difference? When you're talking about 0.02 of a second, right? Any little thing out there could have made the difference in the race. The other thing that I think is fascinating, and it's the Mike Green mentality versus like Richard Hogan or like Alan Johnson or like some of the other guys. Mike Green, in my experience watching him race over the years, goes up there to beat the person in the other lane. Richard Hogan, much like Alan Johnson, who he worked with and worked for, goes up there to run low ET of the world every time. If Richard Hogan goes up there and goes, okay, I got to run Joe Castello this round. We think Joe's going to run 380. I think the track will take 365. I'm going 365. If Mike Green goes up there and goes, we got to run Joe Castello this round, I think Joe Castello can run 380. He goes, I'm going to run 377. I'm just here to beat him. I just need to win this round. Doesn't want to take a chance of, smoking the tires, making a mistake, but that's just different mentality. And I'm not saying one's better than the other. It's just different. It's almost like, whether you're an offensive-minded or defensive-minded coach, if you're winning the games, that's all that really matters. So Mike Green had run 70-71 basically all day long. I mean, I think you've got it in front of you. I don't, but he hadn't been in the 60s all weekend. He did what he had to do to beat the car he was racing all day long.
71 against Cam, 73 against Doug Foley, 70 with a 1 against Billy, needed it and stepped up, and then 66.9 against Steve. Like, throw the coat at it.
And Steve all day long had been 67, 68, 67. He was the only car that ran in the 60s all day Sunday until the final round. And I think that's the Mike Green mentality, right? Okay, now I have to run this to beat the guy that I'm racing. Let's go up there and do it. And they went up there and did it. Could Mike have run 67 or 68 earlier in the day? Very possible. Did he need to? And that's just the way he races. And like I said, it's hard to argue with it when you look at either way. They've both had a lot of success. They both won a lot of races. I think kind of lost in the shuffle. And if my math is off, I apologize. But I believe that was career win number 50 for Mike Green as a crew chief. He's been a part of a lot of teams that have won many more races than that. But I think when he is designated as a crew chief, that was personal win number 50. And that's pretty impressive stuff for anybody.
Very much so. Very much so. Okay, we interrupt this analysis of Camping World Drag Racing to present one of our, I love our VIP audience that's happening. Like we've got VIP Mama K. Yeah, I flipped the switch. Your 2020 Lucas Oil Competition Eliminator World Champion, Craig Bourgeois, out there watching Joe and Alan wax nostalgic about the weekend. How about this guy goes out there and wins himself another Competition Eliminator World Champion? Congratulations, Craig. You're wanted on WFO when we do our championship interviews, and it's going to look like this. So set up the set, get the trophy, the whole thing, get ready. What do you think about that one, Alan?
Yeah, so what? What did he do? Beat Aragon in the final? Who's heard of that guy? I mean, come on, really?
Exactly. Man, it was awesome carrying the wheels, like watching on TV. That dragster it looks like one of the most fun rides out there. The way it hovers the tires and sets them down, and then he gets after it.
Craig, if I'm wrong, straighten me out with your keyboard there. But he's been in the top 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row. So I mean, finished runner-up last year in the championship. You know, when we get down to the final 3 or 4, 6 races of the year, he's been in the conversation every year. You know, in Division 4, he's got some pretty tough cars down there. And the other thing that I really admire about Craig is that he's not afraid to go on the road and chase somebody. You know, it's not like, oh, well, I'm not going to go there because the fast guys will be there. I'm not going to go there because it's going to be mine shaft conditions. I mean, he'll go out and go head-to-head with anybody, and I got a lot of respect for that. So, you know, congratulations to him. It's a cool car. It's a great combination. And whatever they did to make it, I don't know.
He doesn't remember. Yeah.
When you've got as many trophies as I, how can you pick out one? But I think that I wonder what they did to the car, because it didn't used to do wheel stands like it does now. So I wonder if they've done something to it to make it do that. But it sure is a fun car to watch, and it's congratulations. I mean, he deserved it. You know, he went out there, took on everybody that wanted to come into his backyard, and chased a few of them into their backyards. And last year he finished number 2. This year he finished champion again. It just not going to get to hear him make a speech at the banquet, and I really hate that.
Yeah, well, exactly. I don't even know what's going on with that, but we will have him on WFO, and if he wants to come on, certainly, I think that is great. All right, so we were on the same page about Tony Schumacher and point standings. Tony is 9th, so he did crack the top 10, and he looks like he'll be able to gain some ground if he has a good weekend out there in Vegas. I also think about the Don Schumacher Racing dragsters, that Tony Schumacher comes out and is able to get a win kind of off the bench. Moving over to Pro Stock, though, this is one that I've been banging the drum on, Aaron Stanfield. I really feel like this kid is, the word prodigy gets thrown out there, but I'm throwing it out there. Raised a racer, right? But racer from birth, and gets in the situation, top dragster, he wins, and super stock, he wins, and he wins the Factory Stock Showdown Championship in multiple races, and gets an opportunity in Pro Stock. I don't know how many starts he's made. I feel like it's less than 15, maybe even less than 10, and he's already got a win. He gets the job done. 2 finals and a win.
I gave Brian the stat to use on the TV show because I looked it up in my side of it. When they pulled into the beams in the final on Sunday for Aaron Stanfield on Sunday in eliminations, it was the 35th time that he had staged a car. Okay. For Jeg Coughlin, it was 1,064.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Unbelievable. And the kid gets the job done. Let's watch the final round first, and watch Aaron Stanfield make history, his first NHRA Camping World Drag Racing Pro Stock win.
Able to get off the starting line just as quick as Jeg. Stanfield, crowned a champion earlier, has been driving like a boss in that red Camaro, and Coughlin is always a boss, one of the greatest drag racers who has ever lived. Aaron Stanfield, 24 in the tree. The unshakable Jeg Coughlin was 0-15 on the tree, and it's Aaron Stanfield, 6:53.5, 211 miles an hour. An incredible day for this man, 25 years old. He is a world champion and gets his first Pro Stock victory on the same day, Tony. This is absolute life dream stuff for Aaron Stanfield.
Life dream stuff. You were about to say, and I cut you off. I can't, once the video plays, we're out.
I said, notice who leaves first.
Yes. Right.
By the way, you timed that perfectly because my neighbor literally knocked on the door and brought my mail over while you were watching that clip. So
bring your beer?
No, my neighbor who gets my mail when I'm out of town all the time just came over and brought me stuff for the last couple of weeks. There were a couple of things in this, and I'm really, really annoyed at myself that I missed it. Operating the way we are right now, you've been there enough. You know that I take time in between rounds and go look at things and double check stuff and try to find stuff. And I just don't have the time to do that now. So there's two things that I missed. One of them I shouldn't have missed. One of them's a little annoying. One of them just really pisses me off. But the annoying one, Greg Stanfield, his first ever pro stock win in Texas, he beat Jag Coughlin.
Oh.
And that was Dallas instead of Houston, but still. And Greg actually sent me a link that somebody had sent him. It's on my Twitter feed, to the YouTube video of Greg on stage with, I guess it would have been a 12 or 13-year-old Aaron Stanfield when he got his first win. And at the end of it, Greg hands Aaron the trophy as they walk off the stage. So it wasn't the first time that Aaron held a pro stock trophy on stage. I'm just saying. That
is great. That is great. Go ahead. What's the next one?
The one that I missed that really pisses me off, because if there's anybody on the planet that shouldn't miss this, it's me. Aaron Stanfield won in a pro category and a sportsman category, a double up.
Yes.
One pro, one sportsman. You know the last time that happened?
No clue.
Phoenix 92.
No! Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's the cosmic forces. This guy always says the answer to any. When I got there, when I get there, Reinhart pulls me aside and he's giving me good wisdom and silly stuff too. And he's like, the answer to any unknown question is Phoenix 92.
Phoenix 92, greatest race ever held.
And you missed that?
I missed it. But in Phoenix 1992, Pat Austin won top fuel and top alcohol funny car. It was the second time he did it. He did it in Topeka that year also. But that was the last time that somebody doubled up, winning a pro category and a sportsman category, and I missed it.
Wow. Listen, you know what? Live with it, Alan. Live with it. Craig Bourgeois, just, to tie that one down, literally, I'm working on keeping the front end down. Some Hartford saying congratulations, and it has Total Seal rings in it. Craig is my hero, says Matt Hartford Racing, and this is a perfect time to mention that WFO Radio is brought to you in part by TotalSeal.com, the leader in ring seal technology. TotalSeal.com. Thank you, Matt. And boy, Hartford got his gut torn out on the starting line. Great run, and sorry, see you later. See you in Vegas.
Yeah, there's been a lot of that going around. Of course, he's been on the other end of that a few times this year, and that's what Pro Stock is all about. I know that they do a lot of business, and I'm talking about Total Seal down in Texas. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but he told me one time that, they make piston rings like up to 16 inches in diameter, and they can do custom stuff. And I figured, okay, locomotive, ocean liner, something like that. But when I asked him about it, he said most of the stuff they do that big is non-combustion application. And I said, okay, so you're talking compressors? And he said, yeah. He said compressors, pumps, a lot of stuff that they use in the oil fields. That Total Seal does a lot of business with those types of, not engines, but those types of machines that utilize a piston ring that needs cylinder seal, whether it's for pumping or whether it's for suction, or whether it's for a compressor. And they obviously have some pretty big stuff down there. So anyway, I'm throwing in a little extra Total Seal plug for Matt, just in case I ever walking by and need a beer.
Well, exactly. And that used to be a great project that just kind of ended up on the wayside. But Pro Stock was great all around. And Aaron Stanfield, I really feel like if we were a different sport, a guy like Aaron Stanfield is a number 1 draft pick or a top 5 draft pick, and he's making good on that legacy. And he should be, because he can race, he can tune, he can do it all. The guy is, if it's baseball, he's a 5-tool player, and he's just a kid yet. So let him get to the point where he gets confident. Oh my goodness, confident. He just got that car, one of Erica's cars, and the previous car was built for a larger guy. This one's built for Erica, and so Aaron feels comfortable in there. Put him in a car he's comfortable in. Watch out. He could go out and win another one. Finally, Pro Stock Motorcycle. Let's watch the final, and then I'll talk about why I'm worried.
Eddie Krawick drops an 0.26 reaction time on Ryan Ayler, and he's not going to be 0-10 as he goes to the finish line. 6.801, 198.61 miles an hour. Eddie Krawick has finally broken his streak of bad luck in final rounds. It was only a matter of time. Ayler 6.905.
Well,
Brian Lone
said
on the call, Fox.
I was wrong. Eddie left first on that one, so 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
3 out
I
of
mean, I
4.
know that's not a Meatloaf song, but really 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
All the car categories, all the 4-wheel professional finals. You can spin it if you
Nope. I am not driving any kind of a differentiation line between a pro category is a pro category. I don't care how many wheels it got. So 3 out of 4.
We're going to speak with Eddie and Aaron and Tommy on Wednesday. Still waiting back on Tony Schumacher, which day he would like. I think actually Aaron's going to be on Thursday, but all blurs together. But Eddie, earlier this year, I did kind of call him out. I said the word chubby, and we had a little conversation out there in Indy, and he was laughing and everything. But I'm going to take the credit for motivating, little extra motivation, the revenge factor. And now we'll talk to him on the show. But Eddie Krawiec, one of the greats of all time. It was really an anomaly, like bizarre that he has gone through this streak. But now it's over.
It is. And, we go into the last race of the season. The championship is still up for grabs, although, I'd rather be Matt than not. But the thing with Matt Smith, and I said it, his bike is absolutely the fastest bike out there, but it's fragile. And, I believe it was a semifinal run. It looked like he was well on his way to victory, and he sits up about 800 feet. I don't know what happened to it, but it didn't run wide open to the finish line stripe. I'm sorry?
Some sort of toggle switch, shorted out and killed the fuel pump. At least that's what they posted on social media. I think it was this morning or yesterday morning, but one of those, the 50-cent part, the toggle switch might be $2, but it's, one of those metal toggle switches, and kill the fuel pump. And that's why you made a big comment about, like, he was like, come on, go. You could see him on the bike, like, go, come on. And it wouldn't go. And so.
Yeah, it looked like he smacked his head on the gas tank when it quit, because he was running along pretty good down there, about 700-800 feet, coasted across at 697, but that wasn't enough. The weekend before, they had a battery short out when they were trying to start the bike. Mark Starkseth weighing in. Okay, so but that's 2 weeks in a row that something mechanical on the bike is what kept him winning the race, and he needs to make sure that doesn't happen next week, because basically, if he wins the race, he wins the championship. And if his bike runs wide open to the finish line all 4 times on Sunday, he should win the race. You look top to bottom in the pro stock motorcycle ranks, there's nobody that's running with him right now. If he makes 4 clean runs to the finish line, he should win the race, and that should be the championship.
He's up by 78 over Scotty, 78 also over Eddie, 86 over Andrew. I also want to get Erica's total in there. She's up by 55 over Jeg and Jason. So that's kind of interesting. In Pro Stock and Pro Stock Motorcycle, the leader leads over 2 drivers that are tied for second and third. Coincidence or conspiracy, you decide. But, Erica with 1.5 points, she needs to go out and win a couple of rounds. Anything can still happen there. Matt, I agree with you. 78 up. They're going to have that thing figured out.
Yeah, I think between Matt and Erica is that Matt has a visible performance advantage over the field, and Erica doesn't. Erica's got a really good race car, but she doesn't have a gap over second place, third, like Matt in Pro Stock Motorcycles. Now, when it comes down to if the driver is going to be the one to make the difference, let me tell you, when does the betting window open? Because I'm putting everything I got on Erica. If you're coming down to it's a driver, how much am I allowed to bet? And you can see, but different, curious, and I'm going to find out later on today if there's anybody that is here. And when I say here, Tucson, Arizona, testing, because Vegas is a little bit of an altitude track. Tucson is a little bit of an altitude track, and between the weather and the altitude, Tucson translates very, very clearly to Vegas. Something in Tucson, you go to Ville, and that's not necessarily going to be apples. But if you learn something in Tucson and you're going to Vegas, that's going to help. And it would not surprise me a bit to see today, tomorrow, maybe even Thursday. It's only a 6.5-hour drive or so. If there's going to be any pro stock cars that are testing here in Tucson, then I'll find out. And if so, I might do a sneaky little undercover reporter update during one of your Wednesday or Thursday shows.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You text me, I send you the link. You do the sneaky undercover reporter thing. We'll definitely get it in. I'm super excited.
I'll wear my COVID mask and nobody will know it's me.
That's exactly right. You'll just be totally incognito. No one will know. Great event. Had to work really hard for it. All kinds of emotion wrapped in it, but they did a good job down there at Houston Raceway Park, presented by Pennzoil. I'm sure they're eager to look forward to 2021. Other winners. First of all, let's acknowledge the champs. Doug Gordon. Boy, does that guy deserve it. Brings on a brand new sponsor here in 2020. Fights Claus, wins the Big Go, wins the championship, ends the reign of terror by the Killer Bees. But boy, the way the reign of terror ended, they've got to be just so sad. Did you talk to them about why the car wouldn't start?
The rotor in the distributor broke. Never have had that problem since they switched over to the magnetos that they're running now. And that was it. You know, you're cranking, won't fire, cranking, won't fire. And when they get back to the pits and start taking it apart, the rotor inside the distributor was broken. You know, what would have happened? Who knows? I mean, Brian Haug obviously made a heck of a run. Or was it Chris?
It was Chris.
It was Chris. Made a heck of a run. So, you know, would they won that? Who knows? But it was, you know, obviously heartbreak for them. You know, and for Gordon, you know, the first round for the thing to go out there and not make a full run down the racetrack. And congratulations to Chris Houle. I mean, they made a heck of a run after not running great in qualifying, and they would have been tough to guard even if the car does, even if Doug's car does go to the finish line. But when it's all said and done, you know, the end of the year, what's the two questions everybody always asks? Who won Indy? Who won the championship? And both of them are Doug Gordon. So congratulations to that team. You know, busting through for a win was as big for them, I think, as it was for Eddie Krawiec. You know, when you've had so many runner-ups, and finally, you know, they break through at Indy, then they win another one at Dallas, and now they're going to be the champions. They'll go to Las Vegas and try to celebrate with a third win on the year.
Now is a good time for me to say to the audience out there, as you guys are starting your watch parties and, you know, forwarding this email a link along to your friends who are not followers at the moment, WFO Radio continues beyond the final race of the year. That's when we do some of our best work. We have the champions on. We delve into all of these storylines. So WFO will continue. That's just a reminder for everybody out there, as we're going to connect with all of these guys. Like, I think about Doug's last time at Vegas, the end of last year.
Let's not think about that.
Well, you know, everything happens for a reason, right? Like that they turned the page to the new car. They had new emphasis. They went out and won the championship in the following year. So from the agony of defeat, the depths of how low it can go in drag racing, to the ultimate ecstasy of winning Indy and winning a championship in the same year. His daughters work on the car. Like, what a great family moment. That is my point.
Yeah, you know, if you're Doug Gordon, and I guess, you know, credit to everybody that's involved. The car that he's driving is a Johnny Lindbergh car. They had ordered that before they crashed the car, but that's a Johnny car. He runs Alan Johnson parts and pieces. They've had a long time relationship with AJ since they're both Central Coast guys. And I'm talking about the Gordons and Alan Johnson. And so they've had a long time relationship with them. They got a lot of support there. Rick, who works in the shop with Alan, is their guy that's like the on-track tuner guy. But when you're, I mean, what's Doug, 42 or 3 years old, something like that, 5 maybe. And you go to the races every week with your mom, your dad, and your 2 teenage daughters. How cool is that? You know, and his wife gets to come occasionally, but not all the time. Somebody's, I guess, got to take care of business at home. But when that's your race team, and how cool is that? And I think, you know, from a guy that doesn't have any kids, I know plenty of people that have teenage daughters that have more than 2 handfuls trying to just, and they're going racing. And, you know, when they're not racing the funny car, both the girls are racing junior cars. Maddie now has got a driver's license, and she's actually raced, you know, like Grandpa's street car a few times and going, but that's the whole family dynamic there. And you know, good for them. It's, you know, they're grateful. The number of times, and I don't, you know, just there's like behind the scenes things that usually come out when we're talking about something like what happened to Eric, right? I don't know how many people know this, but I can't tell you the number of times that I've been at a division race and somebody comes up and goes, man, do you know anybody that can weld this for me? My titanium wheelie bar broke. My aluminum thing broke. I just need to get this welded. And by the time I make the announcement, my phone buzzes, and it's Mike Gordon that says, "Send them over here. We'll take care of it for them, whatever they need." But that's just the kind of people they are. When they go to the races, they're there to win. They're also there to have a good time, to have some family time, and they're also there to help anybody they can. And so, good on them. I'd love to. You're gonna have to ask Doug to keep you updated. Remember, their family business is custom cabinetry.
Yes.
Okay, the Morro Bay Cabinet Company, they do really high-end, nice custom cabinetry. I want to know what he's going to do for that championship trophy. I mean, you think that's going to be a shrine? That's right. It's going to take up 3 walls, and we're going to have mirrors and spotlights. But I just think that'll be cool.
He's going to give it life, like it's going to be the living cabinet. Hey, I want to send a shout out to one of our WFO radio listeners, Jalen Dunn, who is at a lot of races, and he just took a couple of steps to get his alcohol funny car license. Made a couple of runs up there in the Northeast, and got a 198 mile per hour ET slip. That is pretty cool. Congratulations, Jalen. Keep us updated on that. I love that our audience is so interactive. Also, Chris Dodd, Super Comp, Lucas Oil World Champ, Aaron Stanfield, Factory Stock Showdown, Samtech Factory Stock Showdown World Champ. So some champions were decided along with Craig out there this weekend. That had to be cool. I know Troy Williams was in the hunt for the championship, but Chris Dodd went out there and just took it.
He won St. Louis, and then he came in and he won Dallas. And even though he had an early exit in Houston here this weekend, if I'm not mistaken, Troy was out in Las Vegas. Needed the regional stuff, but wasn't able to get it done out there even before the race got canceled or blown out or winded out or whatever you want to call it. So that made it a mathematic lock. So congratulations to Chris. He definitely went out there and raced his heart out for it.
Absolutely. Other winners on the weekend, Sean Cowie picking up the win in Top Alcohol Dragster. So what is the championship situation in Top Alcohol Dragster? Brian Haug wins funny car, but what about Dragster with the Cowie win?
Well, Sean Cowie is leading the points as we go into Vegas. When Megan qualifies, she will retake the lead. Okay, Megan, and this isn't gospel. This is the way it was kind of like explained to me on the fly. Megan has a complete race to claim. Sean Cowie is replacing a second round loss. So in Sean Cowie's perfect world, he'd like to run Megan head to head early in the day. You got to then take advantage of that, and then go on and win the race. But it's wide open now. Had Julie won the final round, which, oh, by the way, was another great final. The Alcohol Dragster final was a great final down to the lights. Had Julie won that round, Julie, Sean, and Megan would be 3 points apart. But it, woulda, shoulda, coulda. Sean has the lead. Megan, qualifying for Vegas, will retake the lead, and then we'll see what everybody does on Sunday.
Amazing. Another reason to check in and watch. Comp Eliminator won by Craig Bourgeois. Gary Emmons winning in Super Stock. Woody Gary, Stock Eliminator. That was Woody Gary's first win. We did an attention in the pits on his car, that amazing Hemi car. Beautiful. And he goes out there, gets the job done in the Stock Eliminator final. Shannon Brinkley, Super Comp, the fireworks guy. And Charlie Stewart. And yeah, right. I heard you say, what kind of celebration is there going to be? You'd think it would be big. Super Gas, Charlie Stewart. Top sportsman was Mark, Boring? And
Buring, I believe.
Buring, Justin Bond, first-time winner in Pro Modified in a battle of potential first-time winners against Brandon Pez.
First-time Pro Charger winner also.
That's the first Pro Charger win?
Yeah, that's the car, of course, that Khaled Al-Balushi was driving in Las Vegas for the first couple of races because Justin from Canada couldn't get across the border, couldn't come down and race it. So, Justin finally decided that, okay, instead of, having to quarantine for a month every time I go back and forth for a weekend, I'm just going to come down to the States and hang out. And that's what he's been doing. But yeah, that was the first Pro Charger win. So that was cool.
And there it is. The race is in the books. What a good event. A whole lot of fun. And now the final Camping World Drag Racing Series race. But what is weird about 2020, one of the many things that is weird about 2020 is that there will be a Lucas Oil Series race the following weekend. That will be the final race of the year, as I understand it. So in the Lucas Oil Series, we may see some championships go beyond this weekend's race, but in the Camping World Drag Racing Series, we will not. We will know who our champions are. And you mentioned the, award ceremonies and all that. Any idea how that's going to be handled? Like at the track, are they going to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, there simply will not be a banquet, because we can't gather. I mean, it's just as simple as that. You can't take, 6 people in a room like that. So, the trophies, the checks will be handed out. I believe that NHRA is going to put together kind of a video highlight package for each one of the champions. I'm sure that they'll show on NHRA.com or on the Facebook page. And then obviously the champions will have that, to remember their season by. But other than that, there isn't going to be, we are going to, as they're locked up at the track, acknowledge, hear from, make a big deal about, but there won't be any formal celebration at the end of the year. And also the Summit ET National Championship Finals are moved to Las Vegas. They will take place this weekend as well. So there's going to be a whole lot of championshipping going on.
Yes, there absolutely will. And just to mention Pro Mod, because I know there are some fans, Brandon Snyder is the leader going into the final race with 413 points. Stevie Fast, 387. Mike Janis, 358. And so, wow, Brandon Snyder, this guy is on the scene and knocking on the door of a championship. How nice would that be?
Well, won Dallas, which was his first one, and went, I believe, semifinals this past weekend. And obviously, it's been a relatively shortened season for Pro Mod. Nobody's really taken command. I think we've had a different winner at every race. Stevie Fast win a race and then out first round. So he needs to, he needs to come back. He had a pretty good. Now you got to remember that the Houston race was actually St. Louis,
right?
So some of the qualifying and some of the ladder stuff was a little bit odd, but we'll find out in Vegas. Let's just put it that way. Vegas is a little bit of an altitude track, which as a rule is not a blower friendly thing. It's more of a turbo friendly thing, but there's really only one turbo car out there. So we'll see. I mean, I guess that's that. We'll see.
We'll see. Simple as that. We'll see. I'm just eager to see us clicking off these races. That's the big thing. Like, get them in the books, send some fans, as many as is possible, out of there feeling good about it so that they want to watch. And the sport is momentum, and we just got to get to the finish line now. Alan, great job as usual. Really appreciate it. This was a fun one. Less structure, but we went in all kinds of different places. We talked beer. We were all over the place, and that's how it should be. It was a good time. Hopefully entertaining for everybody out there. Thank you very much. Enjoy the mesh cap. That's really good. And a final thought?
Just going to get a couple things done before it's time to go to Vegas. I'm really looking forward to it. And since the Sports Nationals didn't get finished, they will finish on Thursday next week. So, after the Vegas Nationals for the Lucas Oil competitors, they will have a Sports Nationals to finish up, and then the final one. So it's going to be a busy couple of weeks in Vegas. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to what's going to be the really long extended break after Vegas. But as always, if somebody's got a question or comment they want to shoot to me, announcer@nhra.com. That'll come to me.
Simple as that. Alan, great job. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and we'll talk next week.
All right, Joe, take care. If I hear of any secret spy testing going on, I will pass it on to you.
Yes, wear your disguise and get on out there. All right, Alan, thank you very much. Appreciate it. There he goes. Voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, with us here on WFO Radio. Yeah, it's kind of a weird day. Weird, just the way it's all going. I blame Giovanni in Miami, honestly, my co-host on the Ignition Show, since it's good to have someone to blame. It's his fault. For those that did not know, we're supposed to do the show, and he just disappeared on me. No call, no show. Where was he? And it turns out he fell asleep like Stax in Goodfellas. But the good news is that it doesn't matter if things go smoothly or they go horribly roughly. We're going to have a good time and to do our best to soldier through. And we just had a great conversation with Alan Reinhart about all the racing. On Wednesday, we're going to hear from Tommy Johnson, possibly Tony Schumacher. We're going to hear from Eddie Krawick. Aaron Stanfield will be on Thursday as he gets ready to go to Vegas. He is your Factory Stock Showdown champion in the samtech.edu Factory Stock Showdown. The racing looked exciting and wild and fun. Good to see David Barton and that team kind of moving in the right direction. And we're going to dive in on all of that. 4 p.m. Eastern Time. YouTube, Facebook. But if you like audio only, as I do, you're going to want to go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or SoundCloud and download our podcast, WFO Radio. And you never miss a show. Last week, the Steve Torrance Facebook takeover was fantastic. Very well received. The only negative is all the numbers happen on Steve's page and not on the WFO Radio page. So we got these huge numbers, except they're They're on Steve's page. Am I counting them? Oh, yes, I'm counting them. All right, get your comments in the comment section. Thoughts, random thoughts about many subjects, any subjects, whatever it may be. Put them up now. For those of you that are still watching the stream, I watch the numbers all the time. This show is growing. Momentum is growing. We're going to go right through the off season. That is a WFO radio thing. Maybe not as many shows, but you'll certainly hear from us a couple of times a week. Will we be strict on topic? No, we won't. We're going to open it up. We're going to have fun. But I know that people need entertainment and they need some escape, and I need somebody to talk to. And so it works out perfectly. But get your comments into the comment section while I tell you about the people who genuinely make this possible. I love the fact that during the show, I got Matt Hartford out there weighing in. Hartford was on the show last week after his big win out there in Dallas, goes out there first round, has an incredible first round, comes up short against Jeg. What are you going to do? Couple of thou. Outran him, left second at a 15 light to Jeg's like 10. That's what happens when you go up against the natural. Sometimes you lose. But the bottom line is that Hartford helps support WFO Radio with Total Seal. We do a podcast called Hidden Horsepower. And what's going to be very interesting is one of the upcoming episodes of Hidden Horsepower by Total Seal, which you can get at the TotalSeal.com website as you're going on there to order your rings or learn more about rings, is one of our future guests is going to be Judd Massengill from samtech.edu. We're putting these two together like chocolate and peanut butter. We're putting them together. Judd, of course, created samtech.edu to help the next generation of machinists. Was smart enough to realize that some training would be beneficial. And it's the most common answer that we get when we ask these engine builders, what is some advice that you give to the next generation? And they say not only go to a school, they say go to Samtech. So we're just going to go to Samtech ourselves and get Judd on the show. Go to samtech.edu, all you kids out there, the next generation, and even parents, if you're thinking like, man, what Alan said about the Gordon family, I would like that to be true about my family. The idea of the young person kind of going off into the night, you don't know where they're going to be and what they're doing, etc. When you stay within motorsports, when the parents and the kids can have the same hobbies and enjoy them, don't get me wrong, the parents are still uncool and the kids are still cool and they got their lingo and all that stuff. But you're in the same place. You're doing the same things. Like, that's really great. So if you're a parent and you're thinking, man, my kid, do I want him to be an engine builder? Do I want him to be a machinist? I think the answer is an emphatic yes. Samtech.edu. Real proud of that relationship we got with them. Another one, RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Love when Marvin weighs in. You see me with my Rodax mug sipping coffee until 4 p.m. Eastern time, and then I got to cut it off. Got to cut it off or I'll be up all night. He's up 4 a.m. every morning roasting coffee for you guys, the WFO radio universe. And if you haven't tried Rodax coffee, get yourself a pound of coffee roasted fresh per your order. You can get it a full bean or ground, or the hot sauces or the spice rubs, everything good. 817-924-6821. If you're down there in Fort Worth, Texas, you're sitting in the rain right now, like the rest of the NASCAR series, just kind of waiting it out. Give Marvin a call. Swing by the shop. Check him out. Marvin, great guy. Also, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, and we're talking about a very specific date, November 20th. November 20th. Mark it down. November 20th. Well, it's the Dragster Adventure going on in Gainesville. Fun way to get out there in November 20th. To put together a fall adventure. You could drive a dragster. You can have a lot of fun. I don't know if you're going to go 198 miles an hour like Jalen did. This guy jumps in an alcohol funny car and just eviscerates my top speed just like that. How do I get it back? That's the question. Not that I'm in competition with anybody, but I thought my 168 mile per hour speed was pretty good for a while. I got a 7-second ET slip driving an alcohol funny car. And he's cool. Him and his special lady, you'll see him at the track every now and again. And they go to a lot of races. But bottom line, if you want to feel that feeling, the feeling of acceleration, and you want to do very little for it, that's what the Dragster Adventure is for. You don't really have to buy equipment. You don't have to borrow someone's car. You don't have to tow it out to the racetrack. You show up, you hang with Frank all day. It's an experience. Or you could get your alcohol funny car license. You could do that too. Sent out some face coverings this morning. WFO Radio face coverings with stickers and shipping, just $10. This is the deal of the century. The deal of the century. Seriously, this is a much better deal than any other deal in the entire century. It's a bigger deal than the entire Louisiana purchase. $10 for a WFO radio face covering, a couple WFO stickers, and free shipping. And who knows what else ever I'll throw back in there. Go to the website, WFOradio.com. Explore the website, peoples. Explore the website. And there you go. And a big shout out to NitroFishRacing.com. Bo and Randy Lynn, really appreciate them and what they do for WFO, which is totally unnecessary. They just want to help out our show. And shout out to Dominic. And, this weekend, it was tough. Genuinely, the first thing that I thought this morning was about Eric and what the sport is going through and these relationships that we've built. And you make a lot of friends, and that's great. But that means the chances of losing some of your friends goes up. And I haven't been at these races, and I would have loved to have been there, and I would have loved to have been able to, hold my breath and give somebody a hug and, in compliance, of course. And I just can't believe it. On our YouTube channel, Eric was on a couple of months ago. Maybe it was April. And the excitement about what was going on. I go to my Facebook, and there's a message. He had just gotten a Facebook account, hadn't even put a photograph on there. I was like, I was scolding him, like, get a photo on there, man. He's like, I'm new to this. And it just can't believe it. And before I get to the final comments, the rumor mill that everybody talks about, the rumor mill. Let's ease up on the rumor mill and wait for results and find out what the results are. And then we can think deeply about whether or not we, what we think. Because I just know that there is no way that Eric Lane goes out and lies down in the street. It doesn't happen. Hey, I want to say one more shout out to a sponsor before I go to the comments in the comment section. And stop with the thank yous, people. I mean, I appreciate it, but I want substance. It's what I want. Speaking of substance, Silverthorne Industries in Santa Cora. These guys have stepped up in the month of October during a very tough time to support WFO radio. Tony Shortall out there with Dexter Tuttle's machine doing a great job. Would love for all of you guys to, at very least, go to their Facebook page and like the page. I'm putting that into the chat section right now so that you can go out there and you can like the page really easily. I know it's tough to remember stuff, but they have done such a great job with their product, the drag racer mentality, the fact that they've got these little point of purchase deals and these packets that you can just take and put in your pocket and use and throw away, dispose, of course, properly. Done such a great job, and we appreciate them. Santa Cora USA on Facebook, SantaCoraUSA.com. Silverthorne Industries. You can get them by the gallon. You can get them by the box. They have bundles. If you have a business, if you have a shop, go to their website today, SantaCoraUSA.com, and order up. Really appreciate these guys for stepping up on WFO Radio. All right, let's see what everybody's got to say. Let's see what the final thoughts are on this deal. See what the final thoughts are. Yeah, last night I'm waiting for Giovanni to sign on to the deal, just like Alan Reinhart today, and no Giovanni. And so I start texting him like, hey, are we doing a show? And no answer, no response. Hey. So the show went on. The show must go on. That's it. That's it. Okay, Steve Brenwald says, Alan, Matt Smith showed a pic of Milwaukee power tool battery, and he said it shorted out in Dallas power tool battery on a motorcycle. I don't know. I thought it was the switch. Me and Mark Stockseth are on the same page on that one. It was a fuel pump, either a relay switch or switch, and the switch shorted out, and that killed the fuel pump, and that's all she wrote. Billy Anderson, how about the comp final with Aragona? Good race. Yeah, I talked about it earlier, and Craig Bourgeois was on. He was like watching the show. So honored. I know I say it all the time, these extra over-the-top superlatives, but it's so cool when you got Mama K out there, you got top fuel drivers, you got world champions out there, and that just says something about WFO, if nothing else. Like, maybe it's not entertaining, but there's good information. How about Alex Laughlin beating up Stevie? Yeah. Is this the start of the death of turbos and Pro Mod? I think it is. I think it is. And we'd have to speak with someone a little bit more knowledgeable than I, but raceability is a big factor. And Turbo Pro Mods won world championships. Troy Coughlin, obviously Proline. but that instant power, like the Pro Charger and the instant power, and you've always talked about that. It's not free necessarily, but there's all that extra weight and the ducting, the turbos, and all. It's just, Stevie says you can't do a burnout in a puddle. We'll see, but they'll be out there for a while. Barrichello Nitro says, great show. Thanks, guys. That is not his real name. If it is, he's the coolest guy ever. Scott Bell, beer and drag racing, what can be better? Oh, I can think of a couple of things to add to the list there, Scott, but that's me. And I don't know if it's necessarily appropriate to do here in the middle of the day. But yes, I can think of things to add to the list. And we all have things to add to the list. And that's what WFO is all about. While we're on this, I know the audience, they trail off. We're going over an hour and 20 minutes now. Makes perfect sense. This thing started off in the gutter. It is what it is. But WFO is a lifestyle brand, baby. That's what we are. WFO, like wide freaking open, like all out, like live fully, 100% with zest, with zeal. Do it. That's what WFO is. That's what WFO means. And that's what WFO radio is all about. Like, enjoy your time. This year, we have gotten some real lessons in that. You got a loved one, you haven't called them, you haven't talked to them, you haven't reached out, you actually really care. Drop what you're doing and do it. You don't have to go through, I don't want to call that person. It's going to be a long 2-hour call. I haven't talked to them for a bunch of years. It's what's going to be like. Just call them and then hang up in their face. What's up, man? Monica, Gio threw you off your game. It's just the energy has changed. That's all. I felt like the Ignition show was one of the best ever, in fact. If we're talking there, I think that the name Wally Pipp might come to mind. I didn't realize that I could do the show so greatly without Giovanni. And now that I've done it, I don't know. Will Gio be back next week? I think that's the question everybody is asking themselves. Michael Heiner. What's up, Mike Heiner? Good to see you out there. Great show as always. Is it really even a show or is it a conversation? Thank you, Michael. Smale Spalding 2020. You'll get nothing and like it. Thank you very much for the Caddyshack reference. I appreciate it. I don't think Judge Smales would want to team up with Spalding, of course. Didn't he send him over to Ty Webb's teams? Oh, Spalding will play. There's no gambling at Bushwood, sir. Don't get me started on Caddyshack, okay? It's literally one of my favorite movies of all time. And I got that going for me, which is nice. Scott says, Patreon special guest next time, Gio no shows. Patreon special guest, maybe. What, Gio is the special guest on Patreon? The Patreons are loving what they're getting on WFO Radio. What is the Patreon? Patreon.com/WFO Radio. Secret shows for a VIP audience that wants to send me a couple of bucks a month. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's true. Monica, great show today. Thanks. Looking forward to tomorrow. Me too. We're going to have Tommy Johnson Jr. at 4. We're going to have Eddie Krawick approximately 4 something. And it all depends on what Tony Schumacher is going to do. Is Schumacher going to be available? He was just on. Does he want to talk about the win? Does he want to come back on WFO? We're going to have to see. We're waiting to find out. There's always drama. 136 days till we kick off the 2021 in Gainesville. Heck yeah. Oh, Dale. Heck yeah, Dale. Yes. But at the same time, this has been a tough one. You all know why. You all know it. Would love it during the offseason if you could get Shirley Muldowney back. She always makes headlines. Love to hear her opinion on the racers. Yeah, Shirley. Shirley, what do you think of this person? Shirley, what do you think of this person? Shirley will come on the show. I have a great relationship with Shirley Muldowney, and I'm very proud of it because I get her. I get her. I get her. I understand where she's coming from. We've got some great stuff on YouTube, on our YouTube channel. Shirley Muldowney, a couple of interviews, and something that I'm very proud of. She, when we, WFO, 10 years ago, were at the U.S. Nationals, I think in our first year of WFO, walked Alan and myself through her memories of the final round against Connie Coletta. What is that? I don't know why. I must have activated my phone with something. Oh, because I said the word truth. Isn't that strange? She walked us through the final round against Connie Coletta, and we overlaid the video. And it's crudely done, but you'll enjoy it. We could talk to Shirley. That would be interesting. Just Let's see. Hey, Joe, hope your classes are going well. Thank you very much. They are going well. I'm finding out that I'm doing everything wrong and still having some success. So that makes me feel great. You know, imagine if you got your spark plug wires crossed and the car still runs an ICT, then you're feeling pretty good about it. Door Slammer Nats, Orlando Speed World 2. I hope so. I hope so. I don't know I have any official words. Get Jungle Pam. She always has great stories. I love talking to her at the track. Listen, you guys know exactly what the offseason is all about. Once we get the champions out of the way, then it becomes free form. Like I can already tell you a couple of guests that are coming on. One, Snake. Snake's got a book. Snake's coming on. We're going to sell some books for Snake. That's what we're going to do on WFO, right? Books for Snake. He's got his new book out. We're going to talk about the book, talk about the art, talk about the stories. I'm going to try to work myself a free advanced copy. Doubt that's going to happen. But nonetheless, Snake's going to be on the show. Also, Donnie Couch, happy hour. Why? You don't keep track of all the bad stats that I have in the WFO universe, like connections not made, guests not spoken to, things not done, that kind of stuff. Donnie not being on, I see him at the track. We talk, we get along. It's fun. I know the guy is incredible. There's a happy hour coming. He's agreed. I've agreed. After the season is over, it's going to be great. I'm thinking maybe the day after Snake. Let's see. Jalen, time to jump in a funny car, Joe. Yeah, sure. Krista Baldwin got us all excited. There was apparently a funny car, a Top Fuel dragster available. She needed to raise capital to get the seat and raised the capital pretty immediately, but then the seat was gone somehow. And Krista, who was just on the show a few weeks ago, the Greekette, like, yeah, we want to see her in a Top Fuel dragster at the final race of the year. Yes. Who knows? Maybe that story has advanced. Let's see, Monica. WFO face covering, total deal. Yeah, exactly. And there you have it. Do I have any other new comments? New comments. Comments are keep coming in. Man, you guys, let's see. Should have called. I would have got and talked junk about Formula One. I should have. It was late night, Heiner. It was late night. And you know what? You would have been great because we talked about how Haas F1 has lost their drivers and they need new paid drivers. And I think that your boy Nico Hulkenberg would be good. I don't know if he's got money, but I'd love to see him in a Haas F1 car. Also talked about Vettel calling out Ferrari for giving him the slower car. Lewis Hamilton, 92. A lot of Formula One talk, considering that we had no NASCAR race and still don't. Dale says, is that happening? Man, I hope so. Great event. Well, I don't know. If turbos were that consistent, Ricky would have stayed with him. Says Sammy. I don't know about that. I don't want to say you can't teach Ricky. It's not that Ricky is an old dog not learning new tricks. I just think that Ricky wants to do everything because that's the way he's always done it. Like I can't have someone over here hosting the show, running the board for me. I do that. And it would feel weird to not be in control. And I think that when push came to shove, that Ricky realized that going down this new road and relearning all this new stuff and dealing with all this new stuff didn't give him the best chance to win as many races as possible. Same reason that Ron Tobler didn't switch to the 6-disc clutch and realized, like, wait a second, I have literally years and years and years and pages and pages and pages and binders and binders and binders of data and weather conditions in this 5-disc situation. If they're going to do track prep the way they're doing it, I'm going to stick with it. Clearly it's worked. Let's see. Go Dodgers. I want to see it go to 7 games. Sorry, Steve. I want to see a 7-game series. So you got to lose tonight. Love Caddyshack. Who doesn't love Caddyshack? I'll tell you who doesn't love Caddyshack. Communists. Communists don't like Caddyshack. Everybody else, they love it. Ty Webb, come on, one of the coolest, slickest characters of all time. Ty Webb, the Nunzio. There's just so many great one-liners in Caddyshack. It's the best. We could go all day long since I've been on a tour of my radio history on this given week. Given the fact that the Ignition Show, our co-host fell asleep and did not wake up. I talked a little bit about a recent documentary and that's connected to me and my history on the air, et cetera, and so on. The first show I ever produced for, one of the things that they did was Caddyshack trivia. And so I had to learn a lot of Caddyshack trivia. And I have some. Killer Show Joe. Thank you, Marvin. Let's see. Joan, I'm so ready for next year racing. Going to Brainerd. I hope so. Get Heiner back on. We love Heiner. Let's see. Dodgers are going to win tonight. Great show, Joe, but I have to go take my pit bull Nitro out to go potty. You don't have to tell us that. All right, that's it. You want to do Caddyshack trivia real quick? Okay. When is Caddy Day at the pool? Put it in the comment section. When is Caddy Day at the pool? Yeah, I'm going to wait for you. Let's see what I miss. Damon, why are you so antisocial to the rest of our WFO universe? They are very upset that you did not hang out with them in Dallas. I'm just telling you. And Steve says, LOL. All right, I'm going to play the music. The show has gone on way too long. Let's see what people say. Yeah, if you're going to go to the Caddyshack route, you got to be ready. And I'm not even like boned up. Get after it. I've sent kids to the gas chamber. Let's see. My dog's name is Nitro 2. Well, everybody's got a dog named Nitro. Come on now. The answer is 1 to 115. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, the people who make it possible, people who are stepping up for this month. SanaCore, hand sanitizer, Total Seal Piston Rings, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, samtech.edu, and Marvin. Let's have a little fun. Everybody call Marvin right now, 817-924-6821. Let's blow up his phone. And big thanks to everybody who runs the WFO radio sticker, Alan Reinhart. This is what I was trying to get sorted out at the start of the show. Every once in a while, you muff the burnout. Yeah, 1 to 115. There you are now, Steve. I wasn't patient enough to wait. We'll have to do another question. That's Steve Brenwald, who does our artwork on WFO Radio. Oh, yes, Justin Ashley. Rookie of the Year candidate? Rookie of the Year. Who else deserves it more than Justin Ashley? That would be a travesty. No offense to anybody. But Justin Ashley has been incredible this year. He deserves the Rookie of the Year. Absolutely. Caddy Day at the pool, 1 to 115. All right, everybody, that's going to do it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate all of you. WFO. See you tomorrow, 4 o'clock. Archives are loaded. Hit them.